start off here, we're going to go through a couple things, and then our first speaker is going to be Heath, of course. Our second speaker is going to be Jeremy Nason with the Insurance Pro Shop. But first, before we get going on that, looks like we don't quite have everybody back yet, but we'll get fired up here anyway. Before we get going on that, we wanted to share something. So for those of you who subscribe to the Insurance Dream podcast, you may have heard the episode with Reagan Brandt. She is the founder of Loss Run Pros. She is here with us today, and we wanted her to come on and share a little bit about Loss Run Pros because I think that this is such a valuable tool for anybody that's writing commercial. Heath's given us the thumbs up. He knows how good of a tool this is. I spent the majority of my P&C career writing commercial insurance, and as I said on the podcast, we quit writing people we didn't quit writing. We really didn't chase people that required loss runs because it was such a pain in the neck. And the Loss Run Pros over there with Reagan's company, they really solved that problem for agents. And Reagan, I'll let you take it from here, but please.
Awesome. And is it okay, Abe, if I share my screen? Is that all right to give him a quick? Okay, awesome. And before he enables host sharing for me, I was going to just give you guys a quick rundown on myself. So in 2008, I had founded an insurance premium finance company. I still actually run that. And I'm lucky enough through that journey, I've worked with about 10,000 brokers. And to Abe's point, loss runs were always this confusing, magical unicorn that I'm like, how is this still a problem in 2020, 2021? 2022. And so I decided, hey, I got to solve this. And I think there's a way we could utilize technology to make it easier on your insureds, your prospects, and a lot easier on your agencies. So I know we're starting a little bit late here, so I'm going to try to give you guys just the quick and dirty, not to take up too much of your time.
You're good.
But this is the agency-facing dashboard. And so hopefully everyone can see my screen right now, but there's two components to the platform. So the top's going to be the signed authorization is required. And so the use cases I give to this is it's a totally new piece of business. Maybe you broker of record it. You've had it 2 years, but the new market is requiring 5 to 7 years. Our system's going to help you easily get those loss runs when you are not the agent of record. And then we also have a section, then you are the agent of record. They can bypass the insured and streamline getting those requests at the renewals. If you're doing a middle market or higher that every year you're wanting to market it, you want to give some risk retention tools to your insured. So I'm going to just briefly show you if you are working on a prospect or a new piece of business. I'm boring. I use my same test case each time, but I'm going to say, hey, I'm trying to win Bob's big boy. I'm going to pop his phone number in. If you do write a lot of workers' comp, we have an FEIN field that is optional, but you can pop their FEIN number in. And then you can optionally add the insured's logo. So I'm just going to throw a picture that I have in here for you guys, but it is optional, but you can throw your insured's logo in there, the prospect's address, and then whoever you're working with at the prospect's company. Are they the CEO, the founder, the managing member, whatever their role is, you'll pop that in here. Here is going to be your guys' agency's information. So it's going to be whatever user's logged in. That's the insurance professional working on it. And then you can simply come down here and it's like, hey, I want to get loss runs on the general liability policy and they're with Travelers. I want to get it with Cincinnati. I want to get it with, whatever carrier you want. There's 3,500 already preloaded in our system for TPAs, general agencies, carriers. So instead of having to go Google stuff or look it up or send it to this magical wrong box, you're able to come in here right away and get it set up. So we also have a local list, and this is nice, especially if Abe has something set up for you guys with some of the users that he likes using your carriers, we can import your own contact list and use that too. So I'm going to kind of come in here. I'm just going to use my testing one because the site is live. I'll put the policy number in and then dates of coverages that I want to get my loss runs for. Now the system, you can put as many as you want. So as many of you know who have been writing commercial, a lot of times this switches and they basically, you might have general liability with Cincinnati for 2 years, Travelers 2 years, Markel 2 years. You can put them all on one request to your insured, or you could do different lines. So I'll do excess liability. I'm going to come in here, put that it's me, this carrier again, the testing one, the policy numbers, and then the dates of coverage that you want it for. Now our system comes with a default letter, but we have a lot of agencies that also use this for like a hybrid BOR letter. They use it as an NCCI template, lots of different things. I can kind of show you guys that in greater detail after this, but I'm going to kind of use the default letter right now just to show you how easy it is to create these requests. So now it shows, hey, your office is working on Bob's Big Boy. You're trying to get these loss runs. Have you sent it to the carrier? Has it been signed yet? Old school, you can come in here, you can kind of view the document. And it's going to show you kind of what the request looked like. It pops in on the insured's letterhead. It has all the carrier information. It requests them to send you guys the loss runs as well as the insured the loss runs. And then the second one has the full audit trail of what the e-signature status is. So I do laugh. You still can print this out and get a wet signature, and now you know where to send it. You can kind of meet face to face with them. But one of the cool things we have is this built-in e-signature. So I can come in. It's going to default to the insured's email address. It's going to have default messages you can send to them. You hit send request. Now you don't need to pay for DocuSign, any of the other e-signature things. You can see it's been sent to your insured. It will also give you the status, like have they signed it? Has it been sent to the carrier? But your insured is actually going to get an email. We can code it directly to come from your domain name with the attachments for all of the loss runs with this big blue e-sign button, and they can simply click e-sign letter. They can type in their name. They're going to say, yep, I am Regan Brandt. I am authorized to request loss runs. I am the managing member. That's it. Now it's off to the races. It actually sends from them directly to each of the carriers automatically. It'll update in your portal so that you know a date stamp of exactly when the carrier got it. It sends exactly from the insured saying, hey, here's my authorization, has the signed signature, has the full audit trail. Had you had 8, 9, 10 of those, it's going to send them to each of the carriers seamlessly so that it gets taken care of. Most of our requests are returned within about 48 hours because it's going to the right department. It has all the right information. It is regulated by DOI that they do need to release them. But I always like pointing out in the weird situation that it has been over 10 business days, you can actually escalate to our team and we'll actually hunt down those loss runs for you. So we take a lot of those pain points out of it. And Abe laughed. I think one of the best parts is it's $29 a month for unlimited requests per user. So it's really a low price ticket to look good to your customers, to make it really efficient and have it on that side of it. And I will just briefly show you this agent of record section. So this is the one when you are currently the agent of record. I don't recommend this for every single policy because you're probably not needing them on the $1,000 nails line. But as you start writing middle market or some of these more complicated risks, a lot of my customers are coming in and they're saying, okay, I just bound Bob's Big Boy. This is the carrier it's with, this is the policy number. They put in, whatever type of coverage it was, effective date. Sometimes they'll put a little tag for their reporting on whatever unit they want it to go to. But the cool thing is you can actually go in here and say, okay, this policy expires on April 28th, 2023. I want to request loss runs 111 days before. It's going to calculate that date and it's automatically going to be requesting loss runs. Sorry, Robin. I think I had too much coffee. I am a fast talker, so I'll try to slow down a little bit. But you can come in here, you can put in custom dates, you can request them monthly. You can come in here and say, hey, this is the 100-day notice. You can kind of save these messages on how you want to request getting loss runs for any of the ones that you are the current agent of record. So you do not need the insured signature. You don't need to do anything on that side of it. You could attach a BOR and then you can simply, my coffee's in the way, but you can schedule the request and set it and forget it. So this agent of record section 1 is a little bit more applicable to how you guys are going to handle your renewal process, whether or not you guys want to have, Thanks, Heath. Whether or not you want to, market each one, get the loss runs, request them monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, etc. You have all of these tools at your fingertips, and your team can actually come in, help you manage them, make sure you're getting all of that data back. So again, there's the two components: agent of record that you're going to use when you have them, and then obviously the signed authorization, where when you are marketing, new ones to it. So
Sure.
I'll kind of stop there and let anyone chat any questions, or if there's any sections you want me to go over, I'm happy to do that too.
Well, and I think it's worth noting, Robin, and then anybody else, obviously you can get with Loss Run Pros. They will give you a demo of their product, so you can, kind of slow down, take it piece by piece. And I think it's also worth saying that, the Agency Success Summit, this is our very first one, but the whole idea behind the Agency Success Summit is that we want to help you as agency owners write more business, be more successful, and get where you want to go. And so we did not charge Loss Run Pros to come and do this promo. And I think that's significant, because it's like, you can go to all sorts of different events and you can hear from, whoever's got some crappy product out there that has $500 for a sponsorship or whatever, right? But we asked them to come and do this here today, this morning, because I know that if you're going to get into commercial, or if you are into commercial, you need this, and it's going to help you be game changer. He says it's going to be more professional for your clients. It's going to be more streamlined. And somebody that, as somebody that's been working the commercial insurance space, I've got, 15 times more commercial insurance experience than I do personal insurance experience. So thank goodness for Heath that's going to be here today talking about the personal lines. But this is going to save you, if you're starting to write commercial, it's going to save you $500 a month, $250 a month, depending on how much you're going to write, in your staff's time following up with this stuff. So I think it's important to do that. There you go. You could get the Loss Run Pro demo right there. Thank you, Reagan.
Yes, thank you guys so much for having me on the Quick and Dirty. Hopefully now you should be caught back up on time, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. And then, so for anybody just coming in, we got a couple people just joining. We just had Loss Run Pros. There's a link to the demo. You can read about the game changer status of this in the chat there. And now we're going to jump into Heath. Heath, thank you so much for being here today. Yeah, Brendan Carr,
I'm excited to be here. And again, I'm glad you mentioned the personal lines piece of that, but also I too had a large commercial book of business. If I would have had this, I told Brendan this, on my podcast, that if I would have had this, I don't know how much more business I could have written, because, it's just unreal. So just to throw a little extra love there, as I didn't want to take over the chat there, but I just think if y'all are thinking about it or looking at it, it's definitely something. Click that link, schedule that demo. I think it's awesome. So I will go there. Can I share screen here as I have a little presentation myself?
Should be able to.
Okay.
You should be good.
Okay, let me see here. Can y'all see my screen? Am I sharing anything yet?
You are.
Okay, so one of the things we're going to talk about, I'm going to try to, I've got multiple screens here, so I'm going to try to move all of you guys over here. So let me ask you this, is anybody, and I don't know, if you do have ability to put yourself on screen, I would love that. And then if you're able to unmute, if you don't have a lot of background noise, I would love that as well. As I can tell you right now, I'm at a disadvantage here, being on Zoom, just because I'm amazing live. You get me on Zoom, I don't have near like the interaction. So I'm gonna need some help.
Hey, you're looking good. You got the good hair, looks good. The outfit looks nice. You're looking good today.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. So, if you guys, feel free, if you're unmuted, as long as there's not a lot of background noise, jump in. I'm used to working a stage or a crowd to talk to people. So if you could help me out, that would be amazing. One of the things that I wanted to do real quick, again, since we got started a tad late, I want to see here if we can go through. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am a second generation insurance professional. Y'all can still see this, right? And that is just one take on that picture right there, guys. I know that you might think that's a perfect picture. It took him forever to do that, but one take Jake over here, man, I killed it. So anyhow, I love helping insurance agents to be as successful as I can. I've been a carrier rep for half my career, and then I've also been an agency owner, a producer, and now consultant, podcast host, for the other half of my career. I work at a company called APP, which is not a commercial for that, but at APP, we want to help agencies become ridiculously amazing. And just by, a verbal yes. Anybody ever heard of APP?
No.
Okay. So we could, maybe Abe could share some of that information later on, but we want to help you with your team, and we do all kinds of cool stuff. We'll get into that later, as it's not a commercial there. But also, I'm a big believer. I've got 3 kids. Anybody else have kids? Yes, no? Show of hands. Okay.
3 kids.
There you go. I've got 3 kids myself, 4. And I tell my kids all the time, the best way, you probably could say the same thing. Best way to make it in life and be successful is a strong work ethic, a can-do attitude. And I believe personally that the relationship will always be important in our industry. And so to me, I think the same thing goes as an agency owner. If you have that can-do attitude, if you have excuses, which we can all, have those of why you can't do this or that, or why you don't want to do this or that. I truly believe a can-do attitude is going to help a long way there. I am from a town called Maumelle, Arkansas. Any Arkansans at all? Anybody from the South? Anybody know? It's not Arkansas, it's Arkansas. Anybody here know anybody from Arkansas? All right, I'm alone here. So I'm outside Little Rock. My nickname is the Mayor. We can get to that here in a minute. I have a beautiful bride named Stacy, who's also second generation. So imagine holidays at my house are super boring between the insurance talks and all that good stuff. So her father owns an agency, as well as my father's still slinging insurance this day at 78 years old. He's pretty gangster there. 3 pretty awesome kids. And I say pretty awesome. So you got kids, they're not awesome all the time. They suck a lot of times too. And so I've got 8, 11, and 14-year-old. I'm a real passionate Razorback fan. I love to cook. I love to bake, and I love to grill and smoke. I used to leave that as just cook, bake, and smoke, and people thought, oh gosh, who is this guy? So I had to add in there, grill, help you understand what I'm talking about there. My biggest thing I have to say here, and I hate to admit this sometimes, but I do love reality TV. Any other reality TV fans in the room? Okay. Mine started off several years ago before I got married to my wife. We had the TV on randomly, some channel, and freaking Real Housewives of whatever state or city came on. And 5 hours later, we were still watching this madness, and I couldn't stop. And so, again, I still watch the Real Housewives necessarily, but I do love reality TV. So I have to admit that. I have a huge passion for people. And during the pandemic, after I sold the agency, I got into podcasting. I have a podcast called Insurance Town. And I self-elected myself mayor of Insurance Town. So that goes back to a nickname that was given to me 10 years ago. Being second generation, I knew a lot of people in the industry. So people just said, you must be the mayor of insurance. So again, I think it's awesome that Abe has his podcast to help you guys out. I've got one as well. And Brendan's actually been on my show before, and from Lost Runs Pro. And so I love podcasting. I love agents. But let's get on. Enough about me. We'll talk about one of the things that Abe and I talked about the other day was how to make the phone ring. And so anybody would like to know more about how to make your phone ring and what that looks like in your agency? Yes, Heath, that would be awesome. Okay, cool. I appreciate it. Thanks for the feedback there. Again, I'm way better live. You guys got to help me out here. It's going to be a boring 45 minutes. So, and you're thinking, oh crap, 45 minutes of this guy. But so what I want to get into is before you can have the phone ring and before you start talking about some of the other things that I want to dive into today. And Abe, you may have to shoot me a private chat, say shut up or it's time to move on or whatever. But I'm going to rock and roll until you tell me to stop. But I want to get into who's your ideal client. How many of you guys more than just one person. I mean, y'all think about who your ideal client is? Have y'all ever dissected that or thought about that?
Yes.
I got one.
Yes, I have.
Anybody else?
Yeah, that's what we did to focus all of our marketing efforts in our retail agency that we had.
Awesome. Anybody else? No, tell us more. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is as we get into, some of this of, who is your ideal client? I think before you could start marketing, before you can start spending your money on in marketing or figuring out a plan, I think you got to figure out who your ideal client is. And so one of the things that I want to dive into before we get into some of the meat and taters, as we say in the South, let's talk about who it is. Who do you serve? If you have a niche, some of this is going to be commercial focused, some will be personal lines focused. So bear with me here. If you're niche focused, what is that niche? For me personally, and I talked to Abe about this yesterday, and I think Reagan mentioned a little bit ago, I focused like 85% of my marketing and commercial on contractors. And specifically, I drilled even further into HVAC contractors, service contractors, plumbers, things of that nature. And so, I wanted to figure out if that's going to be my focus, then I wanted to get into what's important to them. What are their pain points? What do I provide to make them choose me over the next guy? And so some people like to look at coverage focus. Some people dive into, again, being a part of the group you're in now that Abe's put together is you guys have market access. So you look at those markets and find out, what carriers do we have? What are they focused on? What coverages do they offer? What are some things that I have within my market access, within my book of business that I can offer to help me to shape that? And I guess, Abe could probably talk to that a little bit too, as far as, that market access that he provides for you. That's so important and so crucial, and to figure out what do they want to offer. Again, I don't know those markets, but Abe, am I right? If you give them access to these markets, you can have all these markets, but if you don't know what they write, how important, right. I mean, how are they going to be able to write business if you don't know what they do, right?
Well, and I mean, to add to that point, so on the Insurance Stream podcast, you guys can go to the Insurance Stream, theinsurancestream.com, episode 29 that was published on May 4th. We assembled a niche power panel, and we talk about this subject. I mean, and that's just to add to the point. Like we had a team of people that have had success in niche insurance. One guy, from California, that's written apartments all over the state and all this different stuff, right? If you know what you're going for, it adds, not only to your marketing, but, so much more to like, okay, I'm going to chase after this carrier because this person is going to write what I need. And it just makes life at your agency so much easier.
100%. And so if I let him go any further, he's going to steal my whole PowerPoint. But I think you're dead on there. I think you have to have that. And again, if it's personal lines, let's look into that a little bit more. And we're going to talk about the next slide because this could work for both, because you can have a niche in personal lines as well. Whether it's, I want to go after non-standard auto. I want to write large homes. I want to write medium-sized homes. I want to write people with bad credit. I want people with good credit. There's a lot of things that looks like out there. And so, I want you to think about that. And again, going back to your markets you have access to now, what do they want to write? And then what do you provide to help those people that you serve? So I think, again, the first step is, who is your ideal client and who is not your ideal client? And so as we talk about that, and Robin, you said you've looked into this. I think that was Robin. A good start might be my ideal client is 25 to 35 years old, works a full-time 9-to-5 job, has a family with 2 kids and a secondary home, 2 or more cars, and likes to smoke cigars. Anybody, that sounds a little bit like what you want their client to be? Oh, this could be really awkward if we have a lot of silences. So
I'm really
anybody think like that might be?
Lisa,
owners. You're smiling. Thank goodness. Maybe somebody laughed at my dad jokes there. Does this sound like a client you might want?
in the chat there, Heath.
I can't see the chat, so I can only have.
Okay, so unmute yourselves. Don't chat. Just unmute and talk.
Right. I want that. Lisa, is this like a client you might want? Lisa's on mute. So, Robin, is this somebody you might want? Lisa, go ahead. You unmuted. Go ahead.
My ideal client is a business owner.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
That's what
So
I'm for.
I can barely hear you. Go ahead.
My ideal client is a business owner.
Okay. And I would push you to look that even further into that. The second one there, my ideal client's a general contractor with several crews, 5 or more subs, and has audit issues in the past. Why would that be important, Robin, if they may have had audit issues in the past, if that was going to be my ideal client? Okay. You guys are not going to talk back to me. Again, for me personally, when I was looking at the general contractors that had several crews, I put that in there specifically because several crews means what? Commercial auto. That means they're going to have more lines than just GL. That means they're going to have more than just workers' comp. If they got several crews, they got autos. They got several crews, they got subcontractors. They've got this, they've got that. If they've got audit issues in the past, maybe they got a little hairier mods. That means higher premiums. So I try to be real specific in that. Going back to the other one, 25 to 35 years old, they've got 2 kids, they got a secondary home. A secondary home, that's more money. If they've got a secondary home, they may have a boat. They may have some toys. If they've got 2 or more cars, obviously that's more, more premium there. And again, you can get into data and get into a lot of the analytics on that, but someone who smokes cigars, maybe they're, a little less risk adverse. Maybe they want to take some chances. Maybe they want to spend some money on things and things of that nature. So again, I think it starts with your value position, your ideal client, what that looks like. And if you haven't done that yet, before we get into making the phone ring, maybe you sit down and jot that out. Maybe you go through your current book of business and go through what you look like and say, okay, who is the best book of business for me? Who is the best clientele for me? Where does my book land? If you haven't identified that in your book, maybe it's a good exercise to do that, to take a look at that. And so, again, before we can get the phone ring, let's figure out who that is. And,
I know that identifying your ideal client is a really good exercise, but at the same time, you have all of these different carriers that you have to feed business to. So I find like it's hard to just focus on a particular niche when you do have to, you have all these expectations from the different carriers where you do have to still provide that additional business.
What I would say to that is, and again, Abe may kick me out of this room real quick on that, but again, and I don't know how this works, so Abe's never told me about this, but I would say you don't need every single market that's offered. I would say find your horses. So I want you to figure out who your ideal client is, then find the horses that would help you write that ideal client. And I don't think you need 10 or 12 plaques on the wall. I don't think you need 20 plaques on the wall. If you find a stable of 5 or 6 good carriers, I think you feed those markets. And when you're ready to grow by markets and add more, you can do that later. But
and just to testify to that point, when we had our retail agency, people are probably sick of me saying that, but when we did, we had thousands of contractors and insureds across 5 states, and really we wrote business through 3 companies. So if you find yourself not able to feed a market, let them go. It's okay. Goodbye. Have a good one, and go find somebody that feeds the niche that they're doing, or something like that, because if you're focused in, you'll make way more money off of way fewer carriers than trying to feed everybody.
Yeah, I thank you for backing me up on that, because again, hopefully in the next 5 or 10 minutes as we keep rolling, people will start talking back to me a little more, because I appreciate that.
I'm asking everybody to unmute. We've got a bunch that are unmuting here.
Good. I want that, because as much as I love me, I don't want this to be about me. I want this to be about you. I don't want to be the Heath show. I want you guys to interact with me, talk a little bit. Abe's told me so many good things about you guys. I love you already, even though you're putting me through a lot of awkward silence. It's all good. It's going to be fun. So again, I really do think it's important. And going back to what he just said, you don't have to feed every single market you get. There's someone you may have to let go of. And there's someone you have to have those conversations with to say, hey, the type of bit when they're banging on your door, hey, where's my premium? Where's my premium? Hey, I've carved out this to just what I want to write, and your market doesn't really fit that appetite. We could discuss, break up, come back later, whatever it might be. It's okay. Go ahead, Patrick. Did you say something, bud?
No, I didn't mean to.
That's all right. That's cool. I got something.
I'm working from home, so I'll fix and mute myself.
Oh man. All right, cool. So again, don't feel like you have to have every market out there. I think that we go, whoever made that comment about that, does that make sense to you that what Abe and I are talking about? Whoever made that comment?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Is that India? Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
So again, going back to once you find out who that is, you need to find out what's important to them, whether it's commercial or personal lines, what are their pain points? And, again, with personal lines, if it's a price thing, or if it's age of roof thing, or if it's they've had a claim and had bad service from their previous, agent or their previous carrier, whatever it might be, find that pain point. If it's commercial, maybe they've had a bad mod, maybe they had a bad audit. I guarantee you, Reagan could probably back me up on this, is most of the time when you're talking to contractors, their biggest pain point is probably a bad audit.
100%. Yeah. How do they pay that? Or they didn't have someone kind of swooped them into giving them a low price for the first year. And then that snowball catches up to you if you're not doing the right thing. So
100%. So you got to find that pain point. If it's restaurants, figure out what that pain point is. If it's, whatever that niche might be, personal or commercial, find what that pain point is and try to solve that and have that as part of your value prop when you're visiting with them and when you're marketing to them. What about them is appealing to you? Why are they your ideal client? I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, I want to chase every general contractor because I like the premium and, whatever it might be, or trucking. A lot of people jump in like, I want to write truckers because it's high premium.
Yeah, man. Oh my God. Please
Okay.
pardon me.
What'd you say, Lisa?
It wasn't me.
Okay. But yeah, I think a lot of people want to jump into trucking. Some of you in this room may write a lot of trucking. That's great. But some people don't realize with trucking comes a lot of extra headaches that go with it. And that's cool if you want to do that. That's great. But it's not all sunshine and roses just because it's large premiums. You got to understand trucking. And if you want to dive in, you want to understand how to speak to truckers, what you're going to have to go through, how that works for them, the best way to get them to pay on a regular basis, or the best way to get them to handle certain things. I see you shaking your head, Reagan. So
trucking.
I'm not
the endorsements, the filings, everything. You gotta. But then if you become an expert and you pick that niche, it is pretty lucrative. But you got to know your stuff if you start dabbling in that one. So
100%, and you can make the phone ring really quickly with truckers. They all look to shop. They all want to write. Great, I love that for you. But make sure you're prepared for that. Same thing with GCs. You can chase down certificates. You can chase down all kinds of things. And so again, finding out what is important to them, why they're your ideal client. And if you say, hey, I want that, great, go for it. And then, how does, go ahead.
Sorry. Hey, so I'm Ellie. I have quite an issue finding my ideal client, only because I get all of these contractors. I get all of these commercial lines that I can't write because I'm in New York and everybody hates New York because it's so tough. And, it's like the toughest market. And, so I find myself just kind of dabbing into commercial and personal. And then I have to do life insurance. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm getting way in over my head over here. So
Elizabeth, not to take away from Heath, and Heath, just to jump in here, what I would do is, I know through us, you've got, obviously a whole plethora of access to different things, right? Yeah. And so what I would do is I would take some time and call the reps. If you want to email our staff at insurepro.com, call the reps and say, what are your top 10 classes that you're looking for? And then see what all of them say. Because if you lead with the P&C side and then you follow up with the life insurance side, you're going to be able to write it all still. You're going to be able to still do what you're doing, but you're going to be a lot more effective at it. And then, you'll see a trend emerge throughout all the reps, our reps that you talk to. You're going to see those trends go, hey, everybody said this or everybody said that.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, Ellie, the first thing I talk to new producers about as I consult with new producers all over the country is in the first 90 days, what I have them do is call their top 10 carriers, their top 5 underwriters, and, find out exactly what Abe just said. What do you want to write? What's your hit list? What do you want to spend time doing? What's your most competitive? Where are you this? Where do you have the greatest policies? Whatever those questions might be to identify those things. The other thing I would say, Ellie, is as you're talking about, New York's tough to write in. I'm in the South, obviously. I don't have some of the issues that New York does, but I'm sure Abe's giving you access to some E&S markets and to some excess and surplus lines. If not, then I'm sure he could give you some context there, because there's some things in there that E&S, that's what they thrive on. That's what they want to write, Ellie. Yeah. Go ahead, Ellie.
No, I'm agreeing with you here. I think it's really great. I think I kind of went about it the wrong way. I kind of approached like a staff or kind of or some of the reps as, okay, I have this this business, what can I do, as opposed to what are you guys looking for, and I kind of I went the other way with it. So I really think I should approach these carriers and these reps and just kind of ask them, what are the markets that you're willing to write, or where do you sit with that, so that way maybe I can go after that business as opposed to just handing off all the business that comes to my way. I don't know what to do with them, so I have to kind of give them off to other people that can write them. So yeah.
I think that's, I think you're right. And again, I'm glad that, you're here today as we talk about some of this and identifying what your ideal client is. It's going to help you in your marketing efforts. It's going to help you get the phone to ring, things of that nature. And again, once you find that out, you're going to see a huge uptick in your business. You're going to see an uptick in your marketing, and it's going to be a lot more fruitful for you instead of just shooting arrows in the dark and seeing what sticks or throwing stuff against a wall, whatever the cutesy analogy you want to use. Just to move through, because I'm sure Abe's going to cut me off here in a minute because the other guy's coming in. What time's the other guy coming in?
He was scheduled to come in at noon Eastern time, so in about 11 minutes. But we are running just a tad bit behind. So, Jeremy, are you okay with a few minutes over, and then the whole meeting can run a little bit over just to make sure you get your time?
Absolutely fine.
I was going to tell him, if not, he can kiss my ass because I'm going to keep going. Yes, I got to laugh, Abe. I love you, Jeremy. Thank you. So again, with the value prop, again, identify what specifically do you provide. And I'll fly through some of this. I'll skip a few slides, but again, as you're figuring out, I want you to decide what your niche is or what your, ideal client looks like. What do you provide to them? You got to figure out what value add you bring: education, resources, technology, training, whatever that looks like. What is your value add? And how does what you provide help those that you serve? That's a mouthful. So again, I've got some other slides to dive deeper into that, but I'll skip some of that. But I do want you to think about those things as you identify that. So you can, when you're doing your marketing, you can say, here at the ABC agency, we help my clients by providing the best education and this or that, or we have this resource that we can help you with. Whatever that looks like, finding that out. We help you with quarterly audits or with monthly audits, or we help you with, payment options for truckers. I don't know what it is, but figure out what that is. Or if you're working with contractors, we offer OSHA training, or we offer a employee handbook, or we offer, I don't know, you come up with whatever that is. I could dive into a ton of that, but just for time's sake, because Jeremy's rushing me over here, I want to make sure that I got it. I feel like he's on my ass, like, hurry, hurry, hurry. Dang it. So understand, again, I'm better live. You guys, you're getting the worst of it.
We hope to do this live at some point in time. Probably right in the dead of winter, since we're in Phoenix, and then you guys can all come in and enjoy some, 75, 80 degree December weather.
Hallelujah. I'm in. So we're going into, going into how to make the phone ring. I'm going to go through, I just skipped 4 or 5 slides. So I just saved you a little bit of time there. Again, once you've figured out what your niche is, once you've figured out who your ideal client is, the next part of that would be referral sources. How many of you guys look at referrals as one of your top ways of growing your business?
For sure.
Yeah, good.
That's all I do is referral.
Awesome. I love to hear that. So you've probably identified some of these solid referral sources. If you're not working on referrals, I gave you a list here of some great referral resources for you to think about in your hometown, in your area, in your state, hell, in the country for that matter. The way our society is and the way our world is now, you can market to anybody. Realtors, if you're in the personal lines game, a good realtor and a good lender are a great team to have, to market to work with. And if you could get 5 or 6 good lenders sending you business every week, every month, every whatever, I think you're going to really see your business soar there. Bankers, CPAs, financial planners. I don't know if you guys, in Arkansas, we have a thing called BNI. I don't know if y'all have BNI there, Business Network International. A great place to get some leads and referrals, captive or exclusive agents. I have a good friend of mine here in Arkansas, which I never thought of this option, but he uses other captive agents when they can't write something. they send it to him. I would just never thought that would be a viable option, but he says he writes a ton of business that way. Find out what those referral resources are for you and those sources are, and then develop a clear message. If your referral partners are confused, it will be difficult for them to refer you business. Jeremy's shaking his head like a bobblehead over there. I appreciate that because, so many times people are like, oh, I'm just going to go out and call on lenders. And they get in there and send me everything you got. What's on your desk? I want it all. But if you can go in with a clear plan and let them know, okay, what I want is, I want $500,000 to $1 million homes. I want good credit. I want, obviously, tell them what you want. Or, if you're on the flip side of that, and you like working the non-standard auto, and you want to go find you a good referral partner there and let them know that. And let them know who your ideal client is, why you. Let your referral partners know why they should choose you, what you're going to do for their client. You're going to help them with their DTI. You're going to help them close a deal. You're going to help them with whatever that looks like. Let them know why, and then educate them on your process. So if you found a good referral partner, let's call it a lender, for example, how should they send you referrals? Should they send them by email? Should they send them by carrier pigeon? Should they send them by, whatever that looks like? I don't know. But, how should they send that to you? If you've got
just an idea here, because, one of the things,
I need water anyway.
If you can create a direct link, there's a million different places to create a website, and you can create a direct link on there to submit a referral to me, then all of a sudden you're getting just automated, and you're going to get all the information that you need to do what you need to do with that referral, because you can put insured name, insured address, all these year bill if you want, or whatever, however deep you want to get into it. You can have all that stuff submitted over to you, so that way you can proactively chase down that information. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I agree. And on that same note, I'll put a little plug in for a good friend of mine, a company called Canopy Connect. If you've ever heard of Canopy Connect, if you haven't, reach out to me later. I'll give you my contact info. What they have is you can create customizable links to send your referral partners. They send that to their client, and then they log into this portal, and it sends you all their deck pages, their loss runs. It sends you all of their basic information, the deck pages you need to quote those prospects. And it's an easy, seamless integration to your management system or your website. It's pretty dope, actually. So if you want to learn more about that, I could give you some more information on there. I'll send it to Abe later. Canopy Connect's pretty solid. Again, it's pretty part of your process. You go to this link, as Abe said, submit this way, email it to me, and then tell them the follow-up process. Tell them, I'm going to have it to you in 24 hours, 36 hours, 12 hours, 5, whatever that may be, and live by that. Let them know what that looks like, because I promise you, your competition's not always doing that. They're just going to say, hey, send me what you got. But if you've got a plan, a detailed outline of what that looks like, they could trust you that you're going to do that every time, I think you're money. In fact, I know you are. It works with all the agencies that I work with. Ask questions early and often. Lisa, if you know this, I'm looking at you, so that's why I'm calling you out. You don't have to unmute if you don't want to, but you go to that lender, go to that realtor, go to that CPA, whatever. Hey, what's your client look like? What's your pipeline? How full are you right now? How can I help you grow your pipeline? What does your clientele look like? Ask those questions, because if you're going to a lender, I can imagine, Jeremy, if you go to a lender and that lender says, I close 3 houses a month. Is that a lender you probably want to work with?
Yes and no.
Okay. I would say, for me personally, I'd say no. I want a high volume lender that's going to send me a lot of shit. Sorry, a lot of stuff. And so, my bad. I'm sorry. I get excited, and Abe, I'm sorry. But so you want somebody that's going to give you that high volume. I just want to make sure everybody was awake too. And how can you be service to them? Early on in my career, back in my 20s, I started this game when I was 20 years old. I didn't know the best way to get referrals from a realtor that I wanted to work with. So I went out, I offered to put his signs out for him. And the dumbest move I ever made, because I was busy. But yeah, I went out and I would put his signs out in the yard. I was giving him a service, but B, I'm at their house putting their sign out. And if they came out and were talking to me, hey, I also sell insurance, doing this, whatever it may be. But it was a service I gave to them. And so I wanted to make sure I could add value to them. And then educate yourself through them. Ask them things that, so you can speak their lingo, help them out, be able to refer them business. So you want to learn them as much as possible. And then what I always did was I looked at my referral partners as kind of my clients. I got to a point where I wasn't necessarily cold calling new business anymore. I was working my referral sources because I wanted all my new business. Somebody said that's how the only way they grow is by referrals, which is great. So do monthly drop-bys. Look to add value to them, have open and honest communication with them, and treat them like they're your number one client, and go in and see them and drop off donuts or swag, or, host dinners with them, maybe put on some seminars, do things like that. Have some drip campaigns, some text campaigns, look at things like that. So you're in front of those referral resources at all times. Do some scheduled lunches with them. If Jeremy was, my referral source, hey, Jeremy, why don't we put on the calendar every quarter? We go to lunch. I'll buy you lunch. We'll visit. We'll talk. Y'all can have that open dialogue with one another. I think it's going to help you go a long way like that. Here's my ninja trick that I would tell you. I need y'all to pay attention to me for a minute. Go somewhere where you're a regular. When you walk in that place, if you go there all the time, I use this trick a lot. And the waitresses and the host and the cook and whoever, they know who you are. You look like an instant credibility. You have instant badassery right then and there. You walk in, they're like, "Oh, hey, Heath, welcome. You want your regular?" And the guy that referring you business looking like, "Who is this guy?" Everybody knows Heath. You have other regulars that know who you are, and it's just a way to make yourself, seem more like what you're doing, that people, and they're like, "Oh, smokes, this guy knows everybody." Let's make sure we send him business because he's going to do the same for us. Does that make sense? Yeah, Heath, that's brilliant. Yeah. Cool. I really enjoy doing that because I want to have any leg up that I can. And so I want to make sure I go somewhere where they know who I am, kind of a cheers atmosphere. Connect with them on social, invite them to networking events. So if you're going to a B&I event and you're looking for a guest or a visitor, bring your referral partner. Who cares if there's another lender in there? Bring them anyway. Or if you're going to a Chamber of Commerce event or a Rotary event or some local charity event, bring them with you. Connect with them on social, looking to educate as well as learn. So you, again, find out about them just as much as you tell them about you. All right, Jeremy, I'm hurrying up. Give me a few more minutes. Look for ways to add value. Ask them straight up. I think this is going to help a lot. If you were just to ask them, how can I bring value to you? Introduce them to other referral sources. So if you're talking to a lender, they get a lot of business from realtors. You can introduce them to realtors, and vice versa. Do a co-sponsored event. I don't know if y'all have ever done this, if anybody's ever done this, but hold a workshop. We used to do this in Arkansas. I had my best friend, as a realtor, and another good friend of mine that was a lender, and we would hold new homebuyer seminars. And we would buy the lunch, buy the dinner, and host 10 or 12 new home buyers to come in and walk them through the process. Anybody ever done anything like that before? Jeremy saying yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Robin,
I have about 4 events coming up, one per week on Thursday.
And those work pretty well for you, right?
I'm just starting out, sir. I'm just really just getting ramped up, but I do have 4 scheduled for this month.
That's awesome. Keep that rolling.
Robin, I think you just got some good news on your plan.
Yeah. So I think if you schedule those things out, and then, have those webinars, have those networking events, things like that you host, that you're a part of with those referral partners, comment, like, and share content on social media, send out relevant articles. So again, if you're working with, a specific lender and you see a cool article on the latest trends and whatever, send that to them. Or you find an article you think that would be beneficial to them, share relevant podcasts with them, videos you might see. And the biggest thing that my mama and my daddy used to tell me when I was a kid, have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You're there to listen to them and hear what they have to say, and don't end up talking too much. Identify networking opportunities. I'll fly through this. Some of this is, as I tell them, it gets Captain Obvious type stuff, but look for low-hanging fruit first. If you want to go for networking opportunities, every town has a Chamber of Commerce, probably a Rotary Club, a Kiwanis, something like that. Get involved in those things. It's going to cost you a little bit of money, but at the same time, it's going to be completely worth it if you work the room the right way, if you're intentional in those things. Go to trade associations. I'm sure Reagan was a member of several contractor associations, hospitality groups, habitational, manufacturing, nonprofit groups. All of them have some sort of trade association. Am I right, Reagan?
Oh, they all do. And there's Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups. You can kind of start seeing feedback there too. I think those help a lot to be active on that.
Yeah, and feel free to jump in there and add value immediately. Make sure you set yourself as the expert in whatever that is. Public and private groups, as she mentioned, LinkedIn groups, industry-specific groups. There's things like that as well. You want to be consistent. If you're in a B&I group and you're not going every time, you're losing ground. If you're a part of Rotary or Chamber or whatever, and you don't go to the events, you don't show up and show out on a regular basis, it's hard for you to build that rapport with those lenders or with those referral partners or whoever it might be. You got to be intentional. When you show up at those events, so many agents that I see, again, hear me out on this, they go to every social event, they go to all of the chamber events, and they go, just to be social or just to drink or just to be seen or just to be a part of this or that. And they're not asking for business. They're not networking. They're not talking to people about how they can grow their business. They're just looking just to socialize. You can't write business that way. You've got to go with intent. Again, I'm not saying go out and beat them over the head with insurance, but you've got to go out there with intent, because I guarantee you they're there for that reason. They're not going to these networking events just to smile and be pretty. They're going to get business out of you. So why not hit them up first, or why not talk to them about it too? Everyone's there for that reason. Most people that are a member of a chamber are there to get business, to grow their business. So understanding that, go in with intent and say, okay, I'm going in to bring out, 3 new leads, and go with that little small goal when you go in, or I'm going to come out with a new referral partner. I'm going to go in and come out with this, and have a goal when you go in. So it's not just getting free alcohol. Schedule one-to-ones, breakfast, lunch, schedule, again, back to the place where you're regular. Look for common interest. Maybe your kids play softball together. They play on the same basketball team, or they are big golfers. Maybe they love cigars. I don't know. Find out something. Maybe they love to shop at the same place as you do. Lisa looks like she likes to shop. So, maybe you find some place that y'all both like to shop. Hey, man, whatever. I think, and I'll fly through this part. Just bear with me. Abe, I got a few more minutes. Is that cool? I want to talk to you about social media.
Yes.
I know everybody's on social. Everybody's familiar with social, but I just want to, talk about a few things here that are important here. Because a lot of people don't necessarily use social correctly. I want you to have good content creation, understand algorithms, build meaningful relationships virtually, and, know your audience and meet them where they are, and then measure success. One of the things that I would start off with on social media is find out a medium that works for you. If it's easier for you to write, you don't like being on camera, like a lot of you here that have your camera off, then use Facebook, use Twitter, use LinkedIn, stuff like that. And just make sure you put out valuable, strong content that's aimed towards your ideal client, right? We spent some time talking about that. So now aim your stuff at that. Aim your content at that. Am I right? Yeah, Heath. Right. Okay. So I want you to make sure you do those things. If you're comfortable being on camera, I love being on camera. I love talking to people. I love creating videos. If you're more comfortable with that, and some of you may have seen that, I put out a 3-minute video every 2 days where people just a little stuff about insurance or whatever it might be. Do the same thing. Use YouTube, use Instagram, use Facebook Live, LinkedIn, TikTok. How many of you guys in your agency have a YouTube channel?
I do.
Okay, cool. Y'all, then another Captain Obvious thing is YouTube's owned by Google. Google drives algorithms. Google drives, Google Analytics. Google drives everything, your SEOs, everything. So when you post there, it helps you with your brand, helps your identity, helps you get out there. Bye, Reagan. It helps with all these things. So again, use YouTube, use LinkedIn. So how many of you guys, I don't, but I'd be interested to know. Anybody in here use TikTok for insurance? Lisa, I'm about to check that out. I like it. I haven't figured that one out yet. Maybe I'm too old, this gray beard. I don't know, but TikTok is got to be something. Have you seen value? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Lisa, have you gotten anything out of that? Or you just
not TikTok, but what I did was I took the videos and transferred it over into a Facebook Reel, I believe it's called. And that seems to be helping. It's more of a like an educational thing to like, it's just a 15-second video.
I love it.
And it's working.
Good.
That's good. A little promo here for Agency Success Summit. We're going to be holding these first Wednesday of every month. Next month, we're going to have a guy called David Denning, who is a consultant in exactly what you just said, Lisa. And he helps people create engaging content on TikTok and Facebook and all these different places and get these leads for free. And he was telling me, I was having a call with him the other day, kind of setting up for when he comes the first Wednesday of July. He's got an 18 or 19-year-old girl who's living at home with her mom and dad, advertising life insurance on TikTok. And she's got it so dialed in with what they've done for her that, she's like, a couple days ago, she just closed, I forget what it was, like a $25,000 premium life insurance policy. She made like $8,000 on it. She's 18 or 19 years old, lives with her parents. And she just got, you know what I mean? So, but she's closing, I think, like 20 or 30 life insurance policies a month just off TikTok.
That's fantastic. I think you got to have a social media strategy to go along with once you figure out your ideal client, once you figured out your referral sources. Again, I think Abe brought up a good point. It can be free. Now you can pay advertising. You can pay to have, that's the other beautiful thing about it. You can, target demographic the hell out of Facebook.
Heath, we got a question here in the chat. It says, when you are posting, how do you make sure all you are saying is correct to protect against liability?
That's a good point. I think a lot of it has to go with research, making sure there's a beautiful thing called Google. So you can Google things, you can call Abe and check with him on certain things, maybe, find an underwriter that you're working with, just fact check the hell out of it to make sure exactly what you're saying is the truth. Or you could also have something in there, a little disclaimer in there if you want to. But I think, once you learn this stuff, once you figure out and, develop that stuff as an expert there, I think you're going to feel comfortable. You're not going to post something that's not true. I think you're going to figure that out as you go. It's a good question, though.
You just limit your post to what you do know.
Right.
I find like it's hard because in today's culture, like if you're targeting people who understand the value of insurance, a lot of them are very already educated because there's so much knowledge out there, general knowledge out there. And so it's hard to create content, I feel like sometimes where it's things that people probably already know, so it's hard to get to where you're very specific without promising coverage to where you can create that added value when you have consumers that are just already educated, by the excess of information.
India, keep in mind, your content doesn't have to be insurance related. On our podcast, our Niche Power Panel podcast, a guy named Michael Jans, Michael Heath?
Oh yeah. Great guy.
Yeah, Michael's a rock star. We're going to try and get him on one of our Agency Success Summits too. But he's got a guy that he works with out in New England, and this guy insures tree trimmers. And so the content that he put, because insurance is boring, right? Nobody wants to talk about insurance. Insurance really kind of sucks. But what he does is he puts out tips on how to help you run your arborist business. 10 things every arborist business owner should know. And then, you start that's how you get them into your lead funnel, because who cares about insurance? The insurance relationship will come later after he or she's already gotten value from you about their business. Cause that's what I want to know as a business owner, right? That's why everybody's here. That's why you guys are here attending this 2-hour Zoom. How do you run your business more effectively? Oh, by the way, we can help you with your insurance needs. They're going to become your client.
Yeah, I think go ahead, India.
Oh, no, I was going to say that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think sharing, I don't know, sorry to interrupt, but I also think like sharing industry articles. So like if there was an arborist, if you don't feel comfortable creating your own content, you could find like little articles and just share it and be like, hey, this is really cool. Look what this company's doing, or look at this, or love to chat with anyone. It doesn't always have to feel like a sales pitch. I think like positioning it to feel more authentic and more like you are the expert in that niche is going to help out more. So I think some of it could be that. And then I think on the other side of the spectrum, you could also do like referral or like recommendation Wednesdays or something. Cause I think it's being consistent. So if you have some of your customers, if every Wednesday you get someone to write a little testimonial for you, you could share something different every Wednesday, you know? And so now it's kind of like you just get in those habits of creating that and getting people engaged on what they liked about you or, you know, et cetera. So I think it can go the whole gamut on whatever way you want to do it.
Yeah,
Well,
I
and
agree. And
little
I think,
side note here too on Twitter. One of the things that we've seen success with is go find your target audience on Twitter and share their stuff, right? Because nobody else is doing it, right? Like business is like the loneliest place in the world on Twitter. So you're going through, you know, India or Robin or whoever, and you're on Twitter and you're like, you know what? I'm going to target restaurants. And you go on to the restaurants, you know, in your area's Twitter page and you start, you know, liking their, hearting their stuff and retweeting it and stuff like that. Like they're going to go, wait, who's this? Because you're probably going to be one of the only people doing it.
you're right. You know, I've got a whole
I like that one.
I got a whole talk that I could go into, which we won't do, Jeremy, I promise. Maybe we can come back another day on niches and on how to build authority through your niches and having podcasts in that niche and YouTube videos. So maybe another time, or if you wanted to visit with me about it, I'll share some contact info later. But just for Jeremy's sake, let me talk to you about a couple of things I want you to understand on algorithms. I've done a lot of study over the years on algorithms, and it changes a lot. So as soon as you learn it, kind of like insurance, it changes. But you know, social networks prioritize which content the user sees in their feed by the likelihood that they'll want to see it. You could put something out there, but you got to make sure that something that people actually want to see. And social media knows that. Social media algorithms determine which content to deliver you based on your behavior. And so, you know, again, how many of you guys have been talking to your spouse about a certain event coming up, and the next thing on your feed, all you see is about that event? Or you were talking about, okay, I'll tell you, for example, the other night I saw a commercial on TV for they had this new, you ever seen the Food Ninjas? They have one now for ice cream. Unbelievable. I'm an ice cream nut. I was talking to my wife, I got to get one of those for Father's Day. My Amazon feed the next day showed up this ninja thing for ice cream makers. Anyway, they listen, they know. Facebook or Twitter might put posts from your closest friends and family front and center of your feed because that's who you interact with most often. You ever, again, I just said this, I'm from the future. Have you ever recommended videos to watch, you know, on YouTube? Again, this is based on your behavior, you know, hashtags, things of that nature. The thing about Facebook, I found some things out that helped me. Facebook uses engagement to measure what content your audience sees. Likes, comments, mentions, find ways to get engagement from your people. And that's going to help your feed get up there. If you have 47 posts in the last month and nobody reacted to it, you're not going to be seen by people. So find ways to get interaction, ask questions, put out polls, do something interesting to get people to want to like it and see it. And, you know, Facebook itself even says video content drives higher engagement. Whether you like it or not, it's part of the thing because they want you, you know, to stay on Facebook as long as possible. So if you got a 4-minute video, you're staying on that feed for 4 minutes. You're staying on Facebook longer. Facebook rewards organic posts instead of reposts and article links. Yes, you could share other people's posts and other people's articles. That's great. But people, you know, Facebook loves organic posts. They want to see you write your own material. They want to see you share your own stuff. And so what I would say is, yes, do some of that, but also add in some organic posts to get people to engage with you as much as possible. The biggest one I learned recently, and Reagan's like, you just learned this? But Facebook penalizes the posts that links people off of their platform. I found this out the hard way. I would post every week my latest podcast, for example, and I would put a link to it, and it would drive people off of Facebook to my website. And I saw my likes and my comments, and the people who saw it drive further and further down. So again, if you post something, and Reagan's shaking his head, yes, so you understand.
Well, LinkedIn does it too. So you got to be careful on LinkedIn. Like if you put your YouTube link or you put it, so I always either like wait a day or two and put it in the comments.
Yeah.
You know, say, or follow me here and like but don't put the link because it'll drastically drop.
It sucks because how else are you supposed to do that? But you've got to find creative ways, or you can put it in a comment, or you can go back later. I found out a little ninja trick there later is the next day you can go in and edit the post and add the link in, and it doesn't count against you. But it's little things like that. If you don't understand the algorithms of that, it can really hurt you. So if you're posting and you're putting, hey, check out my website at india@priorsawesome.com, don't do that. It's going to take your algorithms down. Encourage your team to share content as well on Facebook. And the last one I'll get into a little bit is LinkedIn. This is my, I guess, my social media of choice. What I like about it is at the top of the feed, you'll see posts by people you engage with most often. The amount of time people look, this is a little different than Facebook. They like the amount of time people, it's called dwelling time or dwell time. So if you put a post up there, don't do 1 or 2 sentences, get a little wordy there, maybe hit enter a few times, put some spacing there, make people hit that more button so they can read more. Does that make sense? Anybody following what I'm saying here?
Smelling what you're stepping in.
Good. So if you guys are listening, you're wanting to get involved in LinkedIn, you can, get all kinds of cool stuff on LinkedIn. Again, a whole other thing I could spend on social. Comments are more important than reactions. So it's cool to have 14 likes on your LinkedIn, but they want people to react. So the biggest thing that I would say there is when someone reacts, always respond back in a timely manner. So if I post something and Reagan says, cool post, and I don't respond back, Reagan's not going to see my next post. But if I come back and say, thanks, Reagan, I appreciate that, then Reagan's going to see my post more often, or more people are going to see my post, or Reagan's friends are going to see my post. Go ahead,
another
Reagan.
thing, Heath, I do, and I don't know if you do this or not, but if I tag someone in something or someone tags me, I try to wait, I comment on it, but then I wait 4 or 5, instead of sharing it right away, I wait 4 or 5 days and reshare it. So then it's getting hit from like my comment being in it, but then it's also getting hit from me sharing it.
Yep.
Because a lot of people are like, why didn't you share it right away? I'm like, no, you want to wait like a couple days because now my comment will bring me to the top and then the share will bring you to the top later.
100%.
So
I'd like to ask a question, please.
I would love that. Who is that?
This is Robin.
Thank you, Robin. Let's go.
What I've been noticing on Facebook is that people don't even like it anymore. They just make a comment or they'll share it, but they don't press the button to say like or love or care or whatever it is. I've seen posts where there were many comments and no likes. I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand.
It's an algorithm thing, in my opinion. People have figured out that comments are more important and people want to see that because it's too simple. Or Facebook, if you think about it, to scroll through and hit like on 47 posts and get rewarded for laziness. So if you take the time to actually type in even a 2-sentence cool post or thanks, Reagan, even taking that time, it's just Facebook's not going to reward laziness. So if you just go through and like a bunch of stuff, it doesn't help much. So what I would say is spend some time, and maybe you schedule that as part of your day. I'm going to spend an hour every week, liking or not liking, but commenting on people's stuff. Okay. So again, just to get through some of that real quickly, I'll put this up for a second. This is my thoughts on this. Reagan, Jeremy, some of you may have a different view on this, and I'll let Jeremy take over here in a few minutes. Facebook. I would say 10 times a month you should be posting organic post. LinkedIn 12 times a month. Twitter 20 times a month. Instagram 10 to 12 and YouTube 4 times a month. I did some really cool chemistry, carried the one a few times, held my mouth just right to come up with this, but it works. And I would say use this or at least go by some of this and I can share this with you later, but this is my thoughts on this. If you're not doing this amount, I would do that at least. Again, always respond to comments. Don't be afraid to slide into DMs, not in a sleazy, gross way, but just to, jump in and talk to people, be genuine, put others ahead of yourself, look to engage. Again, I've got a whole thing on this, so I won't bore you. I want to make sure that I get to a few quick things, and then I'm going to leave you alone. These are my last 4 slides, Jeremy. And Abe, 80% of sales require 5 follow-ups. And that doesn't mean 5 phone calls. That could be 5 email, phone call, hit them up on social, carrier pigeon, whatever it might be. 5 follow-ups. 44% of salespeople give up after 1. You guys are, might be in that category. I'm not going to call anybody out, but if you give after 1 no, increase your at-bats, increase your likelihood of closing by following up at least twice, 3, 4, 5 times. 92% of people give up after 4 no's. It's crazy to me. That 1 extra time would make a difference. I went into that already. Let's see here. Where was this last one? 70% of people making purchases are looking to solve a problem. So if you out there think it's all about price, it's all about price, it's all about price, it's not. They're looking to solve some sort of problem. 30% looking to gain something, whether it's saving money or not, I don't care, but they're looking to gain something. And my very last and favorite stat, if I can get there, I got too many animations on this one here. Come on, where's it at? It's broken. Oh, here we go. I'm getting there. Give me a second. Here we go. One of my favorite stats. McDonald's sells 12 million orders of fries every day. Why is that? Somebody. Anybody? Why?
Fast and easy.
Okay.
Because they ask.
Dan. Look at Dan over there. I think that was Dan. Because they ask, do you want fries with that? I think it simply comes down to, asking for the business, asking for referrals, looking for ways to get that phone to ring comes down to simply asking for it. I went through all that fast as I could. Any questions? Any comments? Any conversation? Jeremy looks cool with it. It's okay. You're not going to hurt his feelings. You can ask me questions if you want to.
Yeah, take your time.
Either I killed it or y'all just had the worst hour of your life just now.
You've given us a lot to think about, so thank you.
Okay, well, good. Thank you. Checks in the mail. So
I agree with her. You gave us a lot of material to really, you need to look at it more slowly, especially if you are like me, starting out in this area.
Excellent. And I can send this PowerPoint to you, Abe, to share with them.
Yeah. No, this is great. And I said it in the chat here. This is going to be posted on the Insurance Stream podcast and on the Insurance Stream YouTube channel. So, and I put the link. It's theinsurancestream.com. It's really easy. And you can go there. Tomorrow we'll have it live. So, yes.
Awesome. And I will put in the chat. I'll stay on because I want to hear Jeremy since I took so much of his time. But I'll put in the chat my email. If anyone wants to follow up with me, I would love to. And our website's down at the bottom. We have an online school. We do live training. I do virtual trainings, things like that as well. So if you want to check that out, you can. I'm trying to spell my email address right. But if no other questions, I can shut up and let Jeremy do his thing. Nothing?
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you, Heath.
No, thank you again. I'm sorry.
Heath's going to be back. So the agency performance partners, I'll do a little promo for you guys here. They come highly recommended. I'm part of some groups, and I'm went out looking for consultants for this agency success summit, and is it Kelly Donahue, right? She's the owner. She came recommended from numerous different sources of people that were not paid to recommend her. So they're a great group if you want to check them out. But we have retained them for 6 agency success summits. So we're going to see Heath or somebody from there over and over and over again throughout the next 8, 9, 12 months. So we're looking forward to that. We wanted to follow up here with, so Heath covered how to get the phone to ring, right? He gave you some great ideas. You guys can go again to the insurancestream.com, check out the YouTube section with I think it's under interviews right now. We'll probably put up a agency success summit page where we post all of our summits. And then the podcast will have it too, so you can listen on your favorite, the Amazon Music, Spotify, whatever it is that you listen on. You can go on there and get it. But we wanted to, first, how do you get your phone to ring? Second, what do you do when the phone starts ringing? And that's where Jeremy's niche comes in. And thank you, India. You enjoy the podcast. That's where Jeremy comes into play. Is he's got this 7-step sales process, and I screened it. We were big on systems and processes within our agency, and it works, right? That was one of the things early on when we started our agency. Is we were a husband and wife team. My wife, owned the agency with me. And she went and sat behind me because I had a really high close ratio. And it's one of those things for me, I'm, lucky, I'm blessed. It just kind of, comes naturally to me, especially when I was talking to contractors. Those are the people I grew up with, blue collar folks. And they were just, my people. Right. So she went, but when we started hiring people and she sat behind me and she wrote down everything I did. And she goes, did you know, but every time before you take a down payment, you say this. And I was like, no, I didn't know that. And she said, every single person you talk to, you say this. And she put together a training manual for new people we hire. That's what Jeremy's done. So I screened his stuff and I'm like, this is gold. And it's legit. And he's got the resume to prove it. But, it's getting that same process down for every single person you talk to. Take them through the sales process the same way every time. And then you can identify where it's at. But with that, Jeremy, take it away. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Abe. And Heath, you're hard to follow, man. I tell you what, you put on a great presentation with a lot of great information, and it's like hearing a carbon copy of me talking in a lot of ways. I come from the life insurance background. I come from more the financial services side of the industry, but what we do and what we teach is, in essence, how to become successful in any business, how to create your business from the ground up. So you're able to really put in, your effort you put in, your education you put in is all heading towards a specific goal. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick if I can.
Heath, you might have, there you go.
All right. So before we get started, a little about me. I'm co-founder of the Insurance Pro Shop. I started in this business when I was 17 years old. I'm like Heath, I'm a second generation agent. My dad's been in the business, still going in his 70s. And, I got in this business, at 17, just cleaning offices, learning the business, scrubbing floors, writing apps, putting together app kits, all the old paperwork we used to have to do. But during my time of building, looking at watching all these agents, some successful, some unsuccessful, we developed a really simple system to help the average advisor become an elite advisor. Okay. How to become that top tier agent that the companies are looking for heavily right now. There's too many people in this business that are just fly-throughs. They're here for today, gone tomorrow. We want to help create long-lasting relationship with our clients and long-lasting relationship with our agents. All right. So what I'm talking to you about today is, the question I really have, and this is the presentation Abe asked me to kind of go through our 7 steps of why. But, realistically, would you like to make 6 figures a year working less than 30 hours a week? What would that mean to you and your family, to your business?
Yes.
Absolutely. Right. So we need to stop. There's things we do in business that we need to stop doing that are just constant consuming practices that are just killing our business. Okay. One of which, again, when you're starting out, you have to do certain steps. From the start point, you have to prospect, you have to build your business, you have to do certain things. But as you start building, you need to stop doing these wasteful practices like prospecting. I hate prospecting. We can't continue to sit there and make cold calls day after day, direct mail campaigns, live transfer leads, all expensive, time-consuming waste of resources, always looking for new business. To build any successful business, if you look where Walmart and McDonald's are today, how did they get there? Was it by searching out new prospects, new business each and every day? Or is it by building a repeat business, a referral business, that's something that people come back to day after day? So if that's the case, we need to stop processing the idea of just looking for new prospects, chasing down people, whether it be in the commercial side, whether it be in the personal line, the life insurance, annuities, financial services, doesn't matter. You have to set yourself up as the expert, the advisor that people can turn to. You must make yourself referable. And what I mean by referable is, I deal with a lot of life insurance guys in my field. I do a lot of P&C agents also, especially on the personal line side, from the Allstates, the State Farms, and so forth. And what I see is a lot of these agents have just become order takers. People call in, they want this policy at this price. Can you beat it? Yes or no? And when you're selling price, you live and die by price. Whether you're selling term insurance, P&C, homeowners, commercial, whatever, it doesn't matter.
I love that you say that you're saying this, because I really wanted us to touch on this.
and that's, I was a little scared to talk about this today, to be honest. I've given this speech hundreds of times and this class hundreds of times, but I've never done it in front of a group of full P&C agents. So I'm trying to modify my approach a little bit. So if I sound a little out of tune, I'm a little nervous today. So, but I want to talk about 7 different things. The magic number is 7. So there's 7 steps to earn a significant 6-figure income. All right, I'm going to break these down in order here. So number 1, you must solve a real immediate problem that people have. Okay, so when we're talking about the personal, I'm talking about commercial, we're talking about life insurance. What problem are we trying to help people solve with this? And I hear agents, I've heard some agents tell me in the past, well, clients need to have homeowners, they need to have auto. But what problem are we really solving with it? We're protecting the risk. We're ensuring the risk of a loss. So when you have an immediate problem and you ask questions to get people to think about how the immediate problem affects them, now they want to take action. So with auto, for example, what's the main thrust behind it? What problem are we really helping people solve? If you get in a car accident, you have liability risk. You have the risk of the loss of the car, bodily injury. So when you ask questions like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or Mr. Agent or Mr. Client, whatever, if you wrecked your car tomorrow, do you have the $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 in your checking account to replace that car? How do you feel about that? What would happen if the car stopped working tomorrow? It was not available to you tomorrow. Could you get to work? Or look at the liability side. Your kid wrecks the car and tears down a building in the process, whatever it is. Do you have that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to replace that building that he destroyed, or the medical injuries he caused? If they come after you, what's going to happen? How's that going to affect your retirement? How does that affect your life moving forward? If you focus on the problem, no matter what it is in any industry, you focus on the problem, not the product. The product's irrelevant. The problem is what's going to sell. The problem is what we need to focus on to get, like he said, the phone to ring. We want to focus on a problem. We want to focus on getting people to understand the consequences of not doing something, or see the greed of availability, the pain or pleasure they can have by seeking this coverage out. Does that make sense? All right. Step 2 is you must be doing a good, thorough fact find with everybody. Now, in my industry, the life insurance and investment industry, we have a lot of information to cover, from what they have saved, what they don't have saved, what they want to do retirement, and so forth. But it's just as important in your situation, if not more, because if you don't get the adequate information from the prospect to know exactly what coverages they need, how are you going to be able to insure them properly? And I know I'm going to get flack saying, okay, well, if I go in and try to get them to cover everything, the price is going to be too high. The price doesn't matter if you're selling the problem. If you're just selling price and offering 3 different options, hey, you can go with Geico, you can go with Progressive, you can go with whatever, Cincinnati, and they're going to pick the lowest price typically. Or option A, B, and C, here's a little different coverages with the same company. They're going to pick the one in the middle. Until you understand that the price doesn't matter and you focus on the problem and really think about what they need to really have and how big of a problem they're going to have if they don't have this right coverage, then we can't actually do our job. All right. Customer service. I saw someone put a service quote up earlier. You must under promise and over deliver. 100%. I mean, if with anything, any industry, any job, you always over deliver on the service, on the benefits, on the ability to really help them. All right. Follow up is key. You must follow up on every step of the sales process. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit here. You must keep in contact with the clients after the sale. That's incredibly important to create repeat business. You must become a recognized member in your community. As Heath was talking about, becoming, being part of chamber with the JCs, Lions Club Civitan, BNI networks. You need to become the recognized expert in your area. And lastly, you must contribute to public discussions. Okay. And this is where the social media comes in. And we'll talk about that in a second here. All right. So when it comes down to helping people identify the real problem that people have, all right, do you want to be an advisor or an order taker? I see a lot of, I trained a group of State Farm agents years ago. They were probably number 1 or number 2 in the state of Georgia at the time. And they wanted to focus on selling more life insurance. But they had this order taker mentality. So all these new CSRs and reps that would come in that I was trying to train only wanted to take orders. The prospect called in, I need this homeowners, I need this auto, and they weren't doing any part of the next step. Okay. If you want to be successful and create a 6-figure income or more, you need to become the advisor, especially as the agency owners. Your CSRs are there to do certain jobs for you. But you want to be the advisor, you want to be the head of the ship, you need to be able to be the person people turn to. So they know, hey, I have a question about commercial, I need to call Joe. Or I need to call India or Abraham. Okay. Being an order taker is, that's why we average commissions. Right. So, and like for an example, life insurance field that I come from, the average commission per policy sold between $600 and $1,000, which isn't bad. It's $50 to $100 a month in premium. Now, as an order taker, that's what most agents average. That's why the average income of an insurance agent in this industry is between $30,000 and $50,000 a year for the average agent. Now, when you become the advisor and really learn how to master the fact find, the questioning skills that we need to become the expert in our field, like the lady on TikTok earlier we're talking about that had made $25,000 in premium. Okay. A lot of my guys work 20 to 30 hours a week. They make $250,000 to $400,000, $500,000 a year, as much as $2 million a year, working 20 or 30 hours a week, because they've learned that becoming the advisor leads to expertise leads to more dollars generated. And by doing a great fact find, we uncover different problems the client faces and help them find the money to solve those problems. And we can talk about that a little bit with you guys and some ways you can really help people find the money to get the coverage they really truly want and need. All right. Doing a good fact find with everyone. Stop selling product and price. Find a pain. The pain is what people are buying, right? They're not buying the product. They're buying a solution to pain. So find a pain by asking questions. And this is one thing I spend a lot of time on is the who, what, where, when, how, and why questions. How to get people to really emotionally buy into what the real pain is. How to get them to take immediate action on that pain. Like for example, India, if something happened to you or your husband tomorrow and your paycheck stopped coming in, how long can your family go without having any income coming in? What's going to happen to you guys? Could you keep the house you're living in? Could you still put your kids in college? I don't know you, so I'm just going off the top of my head here, but think about, how some of the questions can affect their situation. The liability, the risk amount, the replacement costs, all these things that go into creating a plan to protect a person. Does that make sense? So find a pain, sell the solution, right? Make them a client, right? Part of what we teach also is under promise and over deliver. You know, you want to build trust to exceed their expectations. You know, the minute you start BSing, giving, you know, if you don't know the answer to a question, you tend to snowball and give them crap answers. You blow people off, you know, but if you want to build trust, you want to build the ability to over deliver on your promises. You want to be able to have, you know, pieces in place that help you do that. So automations can help you build it and exceed expectations. But, you know, don't tell, like for example, all right, I have a local agency here. I called in Georgia and I asked for some homeowners quotes. Just as a quick example. Okay. I want to give them money. I know what I want. I'm a financial advisor. I know what I need to have, I think, on the PNC side. But, you know, it took them 3.5 weeks to get back to me. You know, well, we'll get back to you in 24 hours. 3.5 weeks later, they finally got back to me with the quote, a simple quote. You know, so make sure when you state a deadline, you state what you're going to accomplish for a client, that you exceed that. So if you tell them they're going to be in 24 hours, you get it done in 12. You tell them you're going to have it done in 2 weeks, you get it done in a couple of days. And really focus on over deliver and give them a great experience. You know, show them how much you really care, that they're more than just a number to you. That's how you're going to build that relationship with them long term, to create that repeat business, that referral base, the referral business we all solely need to build our businesses on. That's more effective long term. All right. You must follow up every part of the sales process. You know, in anything we do, follow-up is critical. From initial contact to policy delivery, keep your clients informed on where they are in the process. You know, it sounds silly, but I follow Domino's technique. And it's very simple. You know, each step of the process, they let you know what's happening. You know, from the time the order is placed, the policy is written, till the policy is submitted, till it's in underwriting, till it's boxed up, ready to be delivered, and that's your delivery and referral phase. You know, so make sure you have a set process you follow and teach not only yourself, but your associates to do it.
I love that you said this, because I feel like what that does is it eliminates that window of opportunity where they're questioning or where there's that uncertainty and they go out and reach out to someone else because they don't know where you are in the process. So I think this is great.
Yeah, you don't want people shopping around, because again, there's always a lower price, right? I mean, if people are shopping price, there's always a lower price. So people are going to be putting an app in here and still shopping. Did I make the right decision? But if you really engage them on an emotional level, you know, and show them how much you care, how much you trust them, how much they should trust you, you become their advisor. Doesn't matter what the price is. They're going to follow every word you say from there. Make sense? All right. You must keep in touch with your prospects and clients after the sale is made. Now, I know you guys do a much better job of this than the industry. I come from the insurance industry, life insurance industry, because agents are, you know, one and done. They write a policy, they never talk to the client again. And it's terrible. And I see that in some PNC on the life side, but not as much on the personal lines and commercial side. You guys are pretty thorough on your follow-up. But it's still important to understand that you have to be in constant communication. You know, the average retention rate for agency is 84%, but the top agencies maintain a 93 to 95% retention. And a sustained 5% improvement to your customer retention doubles your profit every 5 years. That's huge. So make sure you stay in contact with them. So when a problem comes up, when they have a billing issue, when they have a claim, they know who to call and turn to. Plus, keeping a name in front of them helps you build stronger bonds and keeps you on top of their mind for referrals, which is the best part. So sending out a newsletter, sending out email drip campaigns, letting them know you're thinking about them, thank you cards, Christmas cards, whatever, keeping your name and face in front of them at all times. All right. You must become a recognized name. Do you want to be a big fish in a small pond or continue to be a little fish in a big overcrowded pond? How many, in your local area, how many P&C agencies are there? I know in my little town of Dallas, Georgia, where I live, there's over 35 agencies with a population of 26,000 people. We're known for three things. We have church on every corner, a bar on every corner, and a P&C shop on every corner. Okay. Whether it be State Farm, all states, whatever. But if you want to be, become the recognized name, you have to insert yourself in public discussions, but also fill the gap of the expert that most areas don't have. That's why there's so many of them. A lot of them are a dime a dozen in a lot of ways. They're just order takers. So separate yourself from the order takers, become the advisor, the expert in your field, and publicize it, market it. Like Keith was saying about educational workshops, seminars. One of the things I do in my business is I do educational workshops every month for my life insurance and annuity people, my small families that I work with. And by the way, my exact clients are what you guys were talking about earlier, 25 to 55, families with kids, own homes, universal clients. They have some protect. So that's what I market to. I market my message of how I can really help them, what problems I can help them solve. And when you do that, you become the local expert because your name's always in front of them. It's not about the company you represent. It's about building your brand, your message, and what you want to specialize in to help your prospects. Get spots on local television, get spots on the local radio, do podcast, put videos out. There's all kinds of different things you can do to build your expertise so people know who to search out. All right. So the choice is yours, whether you want to do it or not. Is going to directly affect what your business is going to do in the future. Build your brand, build your name. It's not about the company. It's not about the carriers. It's about you. Sell yourself, build yourself an image, build yourself a reputation as the person to go to. Make sense? And
Yes.
Finally, contribute to public discussions. Now, there is so many detractors in our industry as a whole, financial service industry. Okay, be a proactive voice. Beat down the financial entertainers that are out there. The Susie Orman, the Dave Ramseys, the Clark Howards that are always giving misinformation or a generic one-size-fits-all mentality. We gotta dispose of these people because they're not doing us any good. They're not helping our industry as a whole. They're actually hurting us because they're trying to spread that everybody needs to just do this. Everybody needs term insurance. Everybody should have the lowest price car insurance with the lowest or the highest deductibles. And they're not doing us any favors in a lot of ways. So insert yourself in those discussions. We talked about LinkedIn, YouTube. He did a lot of talking about that stuff, and he's right on point with it. That's the best way to get the discussions out there. We can't afford to spend $30,000 or $40,000 a month like these juggernauts do on marketing, on radio shows, all these different things. So what can we do directly affect our clientele, directly interact with them? The Facebook groups, the LinkedIn groups, TikToks, Instagram, Reels, all these different tools are out there that are free to put information on. Takes a little time, but it's the best grassroots marketing you can do to spread your message that you're more than just an insurance agent. Now, as insurance agents as a whole, we have a bad rap in a lot of ways. All right. And I'll tell you a quick story. I went to Tennessee a couple of years ago with my wife on our anniversary. Went to one of those Murder Mystery Dinner Theater shows downtown Chattanooga. Great little experience. And before the show starts, you know, the actors are coming around table to table asking us why we're there and how things are going. And my wife says our anniversary. It's been like 15 or 20 years at that point. And, you know, they brought us up on stage, talk to us. And my wife's a daycare teacher at the time. So she gets a standing ovation for being a teacher and working with young minds. And they were talking her up and everything else. And they asked me what I do. I said, I'm an insurance agent, just to see what the crowd reaction was. And it was horrible. I got booed off the stage. You know, so we have very low standard of, you know, a very low reputation of what we call insurance agents. So we need to change that as an industry, you know, and break away from being order takers, from being just the guy who sells the insurance and talks about product, sells price, and become the trusted advisors people really need. Whether on the P&C side, doing health insurance, Medicare, it doesn't matter. We need more advisors out there doing the job the right way, focusing on helping the prospect find a problem, helping them identify the problem, and then helping them solve the problem. Make sense? All right. You know, so, and must facilitate information. You know, help the prospect inform decisions on what they need to do. Educate the prospect. You know, we think our prospects know a lot. In some cases they do. So, you know, on some of the business sides of it. But on the personal lines, people don't know what they don't know. Yeah, they can go search it out, but that's a lot of work. So a lot of clients don't take those steps. So by putting these videos out, you know, doing your drip campaigns, you're letting people know about the problem they have and helping them to understand what they need to do to fix the problem. And as you facilitate that information, as you're helping the client see those problems, you help them make an informed decision. So they turn to you. All right. So lastly, I'll make this quick. This is my dad. My dad's been in the business 30, 40 years now. Success doesn't happen by accident. It takes hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love for what you're doing. You know, if you love this industry, you love what you do, you love helping people, you know, focus on becoming the advisor. Focus less on just trying to make a buck, make a sale, but focus on helping families more. And when you do that, the sky's the limit on what you can earn, on what you can do, how much time you can spend. You know, at this stage of my career, I make a six-figure income. I work maybe 10 hours a week on the insurance side of the business. I spend 30 hours with training agents now. But there's no better feeling to be able to make the income you want to make without having to grind 60, 70, 80 hours a week and eliminate, you know, your family, your friends, your life to work. There's a better way to do it. And that's what we try to help you guys with. That's why I try to give you this information to teach you different ways to do this. All right. So in the end, the goal is to make you more referable, make you the person the client wants to turn to for help. All right. And you become the trusted insurance advisor. All right. And by doing that, when you become that advisor, make yourself more referable, more approachable, you can make a significant six-figure income. We're working less than 30 hours a week. I have guys all the country that are making $350,000, $400,000, working 20 hours a week in the insurance fields, in the P&C industries. You know, I've taken guys that have been, I had an Allstate agent I helped that was bought an agency that was terrible, and we turned into a top 3 agency within 2 years, and he was working 10 hours a week in the agency, making well over $1 million a year. So, you know, there's opportunities out there if you seek out the help and learn the questions, the ability to ask the questions, create the conversations, ability to market yourself and create the automations to follow up and help you really become the advisor people are looking for. The sky's the limit. That's all I have. Any questions?
India says in the comments, this has been great because it has provided a variety of practical ways to become successful. That's exactly what we're looking to do. It's great. Any questions for Jeremy?
I love the become referable. I really like that.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference. It really does. You know, I spent years, you know, when I first got in this business when I was 17, got my license when I was 19, and I spent the first 3 or 4 years just floundering. Couldn't listen to my dad. My dad was a top producer, but you can't listen to dad at all. You're not going to listen to anything he says. So, you know, you go through floundering and you don't know what you don't know. But the minute I started listening and seeking out help and watching the agents that I saw that were failing versus ones being successful, you know, it changes the entire metric of what you have and what you can do.
Maybe dad knows something.
Dad knows a lot more than I give him credit for, but I can't tell him that still.
You should talk to my daughters.
It won't work. Trust me. I have 3 kids and they don't listen to me either. So
yeah. No, I hear you. Well, and you know, so kind of to recap everything, you know, Heath talked about finding your niche. I think it ties directly into what Jeremy was saying here, you know, become the authority in a space, right? Become the person that handles high value homes. Become the person that handles contractors. Become the person that handles habitational, you know, whatever it is that you're going to drill into, become that person, become the authority, have people that seek you out. The guy that I'm going to have on, I think next month, David Denning, he has somebody that almost went bankrupt at the beginning of the recession, and she had a couple of food truck clients that she insured, and she ended up blowing up her agency. She specialized in the food truck. She posted on her Facebook about food truck insurance coverage, and hashtag some of that stuff in there, became the authority. Now she's in contact with the main food truck manufacturer in the country that's getting these special order food trucks from folks that are starting up their own food truck business, and they are referring their new build clients that they're building the food trucks for to her. And so because it's one of those things where you get in and you got a little good corner on it, and it makes all the difference in the world. And again, not that you need to go out and insure food trucks, or it's finding your space. Call our reps, call your reps, ask them questions, find what they're writing, and then develop around there. Because when we had our retail agency, we spent about $300,000 to $400,000 a year on advertising. And we were able to do that because for every dollar we spent on advertising, we would make about $2.50 back. So, really there was no cost of advertising, right? It was only a profit from advertising, because we drilled down so much so who our customer was, so much so, where they spent their time, what kind of issues they needed help addressing, how can we help them grow their business. That's the kind of stuff we spend our time focusing on. And then after that, they just buy insurance as part of the interaction with you. Heath, I see you on there. We got any closing remarks between you or Jeremy?
If I get started, I may not stop. So, no, I appreciate the invite to be here and being a part of this. I think, something I just said in the comments is just being here today is a huge first step in the right direction. And you control your destiny in that. And so, I'm proud of every one of you for being here today, for accepting the invite from Abe, for listening to people like Jeremy and like Abe and other people. I think that's huge. So give yourself a hand, a pat on the back, whatever it might be. I think that's awesome that you're here, and listen to those things. Listen to that podcast he's got. Check out every one of these. I guess you said monthly you're going to have these. So
yes,
however often these are, I would say jump in there and really listen and pay attention.
Yeah. Well, and props to you guys for taking the time to invest in your business, because, I think that there was probably a host of people that did not come today because they're like, man, I don't got that 2 hours. Well, you know what? We spent a week in Orlando a couple weeks ago, and the week that we spent investing in insurance professionals and in your guys' future and in the opportunities that we can now bring to you. There's a lot coming down the pike, so stay tuned. It's really exciting. But the week that we spent down there, it took us ahead 7 years easily. And you know, the 2 hours that you've spent today, if you implement what is here, if you don't do anything with it, you wasted your time. But if you implement what is here, you've just saved yourself 3 or 4 years worth of work to figure things out the hard way.
Every bit of it. Every bit of it. I mean, education in any field you study is going to help you grow your practice.
That's right. Abraham Lincoln says, if you got an hour to chop down a tree, spend 45 minutes sharpening your axe.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Come again the first Wednesday of every month. We're trying to do it right in the middle of the week.
Abe, how do we get your contact information?
Mine?
Yes.
I can throw it down here. So let's see here. Let me put a message out to everyone in the meeting. Let's see. I'll give you my email, abe@insureproagent.com. Whoop, that's the wrong spelling. abe@insureproagent.com.
I would also like to say thank you to you guys as well, just for providing the access, because you find that a lot of times, like experts in the field or masters in the field, a lot of times they charge for having this type of access, and you guys are giving this available for free. So I just find that, because you're always learning in this field, so I just find that these things are so useful. And so thank you so much for offering these.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing that up. You know, when we sold our retail agency in 2020, you know, it had been a decade or more since we had started off as insurance agency owners, right? So the landscape had changed drastically, and we actually, you know, went in to do some consulting work, and it was like every single person that came to us with the same problem. It was market access, always market access. And so, you know, that was what we decided to really hammer in on, is like, you know, there's a need for consulting, but there's a greater need for market access. We did not, the companies that were around when we started our agency, how we accessed markets at the very beginning, they got bought up and smushed. And so, you know, what we found was that it was expensive. It was cumbersome. They owned part of your book of business. They had exit clauses that you never will get out of until you sell your agency. And that's just, you know, that's not a good way to start. It's not a good way to perpetuate the independent agency distribution model, which has changed my life, right? And we wanted that to be able to change other people's lives too, and keep it where it's at, where it's like you've got small independent agencies that are local. You know, they branch out, they niche, they do all these things that corporate America really can't, you know, no offense to them, right? An acquisition changed my life, but you know, the corporate America does not have the setup to do what we do, what Heath just talked about, what Jeremy just talked about. They don't have the setup to do these type of things. They can't effectively. We can, because, you know, we're the agency owner and we care. So, you know, that was what this was all about with insurance professionals, was, was just making market access available, bringing in these type of things where we're helping you figure out how to do it. Because if you got the markets and you got the knowledge, you're off to the races. So appreciate that comment, India. Perfect. Anything else? Anybody else? Perfect. I'm going to punch in something here in the comments. Somebody asked, there we go. Somebody asked for a number of the agency, and I'll go ahead and for insurance professionals, I'll put it in here. Put it in here so everybody's got it. 480-454-1582. That is the insurance professionals line. So we appreciate your time. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you, Heath. Thank you, Jeremy. And thank you for everybody who attended. We really appreciate it. And we can't wait to see you for the July 6th Agency Success Summit. We'll be sending out invites to that, but it's going to be July 6th, same time, noon to 2 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much, guys.